What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're tackling some more r/True Revenge. If you do enjoy this kind of content, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it truly helps out our channel. And a huge thank you to the members of our channel. Cat just randomly ringing a bell over there. It's invaded my house again. And with that being said, thank you so much, and let's get on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Damn cat. Our first story comes from Yasmin. Our first story comes from Yasmin Lee 1224. Mother lies, takes money from me, then gets screwed over financially. This is very, very long. So TLDR at the bottom. Backstory: so I'm a 19 female, and I've only been living with my mother for a good 3 to 5 years. Was put into foster care at a young age, and don't remember living with my mother at all. Before moving in with her, she would tell me how great it will be for me to live there, and how I'd be treated with respect, and yada yada yada. Well, since I started college, things went to shit. My whole life, I wanted to go to college for art, but my mother convinced me that it was stupid, and so I chose to go for a business degree. I got into my state's business and marketing honor society during my last year of high school for having a 90 average in all 5 of my business classes. My first semester of college, everything started out fine. Then the end of September hit, and I got reimbursement for financial aid. Let me add, my mother is on SSI for minor disabilities and hasn't worked in the past 18 years. She has arthritis and fibromyalgia, so apparently she can't work. I get public assistance that I never knew about since I was never allowed to do paperwork for anything. I thought we only got food stamps, but apparently she lied and said I was paying a couple $100s for rent so she could get more money. So she was getting nearly $500 a month for my needs. I never got anything unless it was Christmas, and $350 a month for food stamps. My boyfriend had to buy me food because I was never allowed to eat at home and didn't want to get a $3,000 meal plan on campus. Anyways, I got a healthy $2,000 back from financial aid, which I originally planned on spending on clothes. I hadn't had a pair of fitting jeans since I lived with my mother, a laptop for school, and food. Well, apparently every time I get money, it belongs to my mother. She demanded I gave her most of the money, so I spent $1,500 on some jeans to me and a brand new PS4 system, PS Vita, and PS Plus, and a bunch of PS4 games for my boyfriend. I know that sounds reckless of me, but he's paid me back for it. She was pissed and belittled me till I gave her the rest of the money for rent and bills and food. She went off and bought my boyfriend drugs. I was mad because obviously that's just not okay. I just pushed through the semester and kind of sucked it out like I usually do. February came and pretty much the same thing happened. She demanded my $3,000. I got more this past semester because I had to pay for one textbook, to pay for rent, electricity, the Wi-Fi, food, and everything under the sun. She got mad when I refused to give her more than $350. I went off and spent the money on my anniversary, including outfit, gas, 2 meals, and some gifts. A new phone. My phone barely worked and was 7 years old, and prepaid my phone plan for the next few months. I also bought myself some food for when I was home. She was irate. How dare I spend money on my boyfriend and not the woman who birthed me? I tried to stay away from home as much as possible, driving around with my boyfriend for the most part, but every time I came home, I would get yelled at. Well, March is when shit hit the fan. I knew my Medicaid card. They put cash assistance on the card for convenience and birth certificate for a program that helps people get jobs in the area, and she wasn't having it. Apparently saying I needed them was being rude and disrespectful. I ignored her for the most part, kept insisting that I needed them right away because I had to leave. She gave them to me after half an hour of me telling her that I needed to leave, and she started yelling at me. So I left for a few hours, and I got a call from my caseworker asking when I would turn in timesheets. I had to get a signature from each teacher stating I was in class to keep my insurance benefits and the food stamps. I didn't know about the cash assistance, and she told me that I could lose cash assistance if I didn't. I asked her what she was talking about, and she told me I got approximately $500 a month to pay for rent and other things I needed. I informed her that I never knew about that. She was very upset that my mother was using the money on God knows what. She told me to change the pin on the card and to not let my mother touch it. So I changed the pin on my card, went home, and my room was torn out. My clothes were everywhere, my old laptop was missing, my Christmas gifts for my boyfriend were gone. I was very upset. I told my mother I wanted my stuff back, and she just threw everything at my door. I started packing my bags because I knew I was done with the garbage. She demanded I give her my Medicaid card back since she keeps everyone else's. She got in my face, threw my glasses on the floor, tried throwing my new phone, and was just screaming at me till I gave it to her. I have post-traumatic stress disorder, so I panic whenever someone is slightly loud. After she went to the store and tried to buy something with it, she came home and started shoving me around, demanding I give her the pin. I was just like my father. I was a piece of garbage for buying jeans that actually fit me for once in my life. I was trash for liking the prints I got from my boyfriend and not from her. I got pants that were 2 sizes too big and very low rise for Christmas. Yeah. No. Etc. etc. She actually hit me because of it and hit me till I gave her my pin. So of course, I was down and gave it to her. Someone for some reason called the cops, and they showed up shortly after her, and her boyfriend started telling him I was abusive and manipulative, that pathological liar. I showed them where she hit me and tried to explain that she took my Medicaid card, but they didn't care. The cops never care because opposing my mum's boyfriend has put half of the local police force into the hospital. After the cops left, my mother said that my boyfriend, who has done nothing and has only been supportive of me throughout this, was a pedophile. I'm a year older than him and that he was not allowed to enter the house again. Then she set out a new curfew of 6 p.m. I had a class that ended at 5 and it took me 2 hours to walk home, so that was stupid. And if I left the house, I was never to return. So I left. My boyfriend took me to a homeless shelter, specifically the teens and young adults that were in abusive situations, and I have nowhere else to go. I got my own apartment with the potential of getting a roommate at some point, and I honestly have never felt better in my life. To the following day, I got a new card and my mother has taken out $260 at 5 a.m. with the help of my older sister. I had $4 to buy food for 2 weeks, I could apply for my own food stamps and cash assistance case. Most of the time I only had water, and I would eat every 3 days at my boyfriend's house. When the virus hit, his dad refused to let me over, even though he knew what was going on, to a certain extent. I didn't eat anything for a week before being able to get food stamps. I wish I'd gotten a job, but having 8 classes, one of which was 6 hours a week for a measly 1 credit, took up the majority of my time. The college suggested I withdraw to focus on my mental health. I was afraid of leaving my new place because I didn't want to be attacked by my family or my mum's boyfriend's drug addict friends. I went from seeing my therapist for half an hour every other week to seeing her for an hour every week. She suggested that I cut contact with my mother permanently, even though it meant losing a good $3,000 worth of stuff I bought myself over the past 12 years. I felt paid to babysit and take care of the farm while in foster care. I was so upset about losing all 40 of my stuffed animals. They really meant a lot to me. They kinda were the only things that helped me calm me down from a panic attack. I know it sounds immature, but I've had most of them since I was about 8 years old. This thing popped in my head while I was applying for my own food stamps and cash assistance case. The revenge. I realized I could easily report my mother for welfare fraud. Not only had she been taking my $500 a month, but she lied and said her boyfriend and her didn't share food and were roommates. She paid to use other people's food stamps, and she sold her food stamp for cash to buy fast food or drugs. So I did just that. I went to our state's website and reported her for fraud, and when she took the money from my card at 5 a.m. that one day. I went into detail, gave the exact location of where she did it and everything. I said she used other people's cards all the time, which was very true, and how she demanded my card whenever I had it. A couple of weeks later, I get a letter from the Department of Social Services, DSS. They accidentally sent it to my address instead of my mum's, thinking she moved along with me. I opened it and I read that she was denied public assistance, denied medical insurance, and denied food stamps. She met the requirements for getting them, but because of my report, she does everything but SSI, as far as I know. What probably helped was that I told DSS that she stole my card and requested a new one, and the lady at the front desk was mortified. I found out she took the money out later when I set the card online and saw all the previous transactions for the past year. She's out $850 a month, more than her SSI, and our health insurance, which was paid for by the state, all because of me. And I boasted about it to my therapist. My therapist actually congratulated me because I'm very shy with people, so to report something like this was very unlikely of me unless she got me very angry. I'm not sure if this was appropriate here, but it took a lot out of me to be able to do it. Thanks, anxiety. Firstly, I don't think there's anything wrong with having stuffed animals, no matter what your age. If it's a comfort thing, fair play to you. Absolutely. But what a crazy, narcissistic mother. Ah, dear. What can you say to me like that? Apart from, hopefully, this young girl was doing well now, and she's hopefully finding her feet in life and just getting on with it, and without her mother, and hopefully she doesn't let her back in because that bitch is crazy. Our next is from RK9J. Slumdog lost his business over $300 security deposit. But rents a little house from a man who owned a painting business. The power was cut off when we came to see his property, but he assured us everything worked, even put it in the contract. The place was dirty and poorly maintained, so we negotiated the security deposit down to $300. Turned out the heat/air didn't work, along with the refrigerator and dishwasher. I asked him to have someone look at them. He cursed me up and down. He called and left threatening voicemails. He would shop unannounced and let himself in. On one of the visits, I showed him the crawl space was flooded and was a breeding ground for thousands, if not millions, of cockroaches and mosquitoes that would come up through the floor vents. It was absolutely no dirt work, even though he claimed that the heat/air worked fine. He accused me of causing a flood myself, even though I showed him the source was a pipe that had rusted through. He refused to address any problems and said, if you don't like it, then you can move. You can't pay for a bargain, they expect to live in the Ritz. This man was a terrible man in general. Once he hired someone of Craigslist to cut down a tree in the rental property yard. The man worked literally all day for the agreed $150, cut out and haul off the tree. He came back that evening, just standing in the yard. I asked if I could help him. He said he was waiting for the owner to get paid. The owner kept replying saying he was on his way, but never showed up. Our neighbor told us he had punched the previous renter in the face and refused to pay him for a day's work for his company. He had bragged about renting to illegal immigrants and not having to do anything because they wouldn't sue. We had a newborn baby, so we called his bluff and agreed to find a new place to live. We left the home in a much better shape than we found it. He said he would mail us the security deposit, but never did. He dodged my phone calls until one day he called to say, "You aren't getting it back. You broke the contract where you left early, so go fuck yourself." I was really upset because we had new parents and I very little money. That $300 was a big deal to us and a drop in the bucket for this man. He owned an upscale painting business and had 15 rental properties. The next week I was online leaving negative reviews for his business when I clicked the link and noticed his website domain had just lapsed. I know what I had to do. I immediately bought it, then created a hang page with the contact info for the biggest competitor. I emailed from his old domain, asking him if he wanted to buy the website for $320. The cost of security deposit, plus the price I paid for the domain. He was irate. He started calling my work, threatening to sue my employer. He even contacted my parents and threatened to sue them. He left a bunch of threatening voicemails for me, saying he was going to beat me up, and he knows where I live, and he has my social security number. I received emails from several review sites asking if I was trying to update the contact info for the business. He must have used an old domain's email as his contact email. I didn't want to get into trouble for impersonating his business, so I did not respond. The contact info was never changed. I received a few emails from potential clients. I called him and told him about the painting job requests. I gave him the contact info for one of the clients to prove I wasn't just making it up. I told him it was the last time I was going to do that for him and suggested he buy the website back in order to not miss out on any other jobs. He told me he was taking me to court. I told him I'd recorded his threats in phone calls and saved all his texts and voicemails. He said he's going to sue me for illegally recording him. Not illegal in my state. I said, "I look forward to seeing you in court, where I countersuit and press charges for harassing me." And I hung up. He called back and cussed me out for hanging up on him. I said, "Call me back when you can speak respectfully to me," and hung up again. We repeated this about 5 times. Each time he was more angry until the last time. He spoke respectfully and explained he hadn't got a single job in months. I suggested he focus more on creating a website to find business. He lost it and cussed me out again. 6 months passed and he still hadn't bought the website from me. I got a call from him begging me to do the right thing and give him the website back. I told him the current price was $350. 6 months later, I get another phone call. I told him the current price is $380. Eventually he texted me saying, "I went out of business. I hope you're happy." I responded, "I hear having a website really helps your business. $380 and it's yours." He told me what a terrible person I am and said, "Calm as a bitch." I responded, "Maybe if she stopped trying to rip people off, your karma wouldn't be so bad." That was the last time I ever heard from him. The major business listing sites confirmed his business did indeed close. I renewed the domain for another 2 years, just in case he was bluffing. A few months later, I drove by his office to see if it was still there. It was empty with a full rent sign posted. And I've got the $300 back and spent money on domain registrations, but it was totally worth it. Now that is the way to get revenge. Fucking slumlords. I love the way he tries to do the right thing as well, when he was the one in the wrong the whole time. Do the right thing. What a scumbag. Wow. What do you guys make of that story? Have you guys ever had a slumlord? Let me know in those comments below. The next story is from You Might Know Me Mate. I froze my psycho neighbor out of her apartment. In college, my 2 friends and I decided to find a place together off campus. We found a beautiful 3-bedroom house with surprisingly affordable rent. The basement of the house was listed as a separate apartment, but as it had a separate entrance and the indoor stairwell had been blocked off, we weren't worried, and the thermostat was upstairs. Then the demon neighbor moved in. From upstairs, we could hear everything. This adult woman would call her mother and scream at her to pay her cell phone bills and give her grocery money, aka Taco Bell, and cheap tequila. She would scream at whatever guy she was sleeping with to bring her meth, and one day, she brought home 3 puppies to scream at too. We were terrified of this woman, and the noise was hell. Also, we'd been idiotic enough to sign a lease stating we were responsible for all utilities, period, meaning we're now financing her gas, water, and electric. But with only 2 months left on the lease, we thought we could just ride it out. But then she started smoking, constantly. According to landlord, she had quit for good when she'd signed the lease, but for good only lasted 2 days. Since it was winter, the heat was running nearly 24/7, and the smoking was wafting up the vents. Our apartment and all our belongings began to reek with smoke. We contacted the landlord because we'd signed for a bloody non-smoking apartment. He told us we lived in the state we could technically call an apartment non-smoking, even if it shared ventilation with a smoking apartment. Fuck you, leasing laws. At this point, my 2 roommates were heading out for a 2-week vacation. They are unmined students, while I was residential, leaving me alone in the apartment with a demon smoker in the basement. I couldn't sleep or eat because my idiotic stomach decided to react to all the secondhand smoke by aching and cramping constantly. After 3 days, I was a little insane. I made a plan. I checked the forecast, lows and 20s all week. I borrowed a friend's ultra-insulated sleeping bag. I bought one of those ski masks for the holes for your eyes and mouth. I got out my stocking cap, my silk long underwear, my woolen socks, and my down parka. I bought tea, hot cocoa, and ramen, and prepared to live off a diet of hot liquids. And I turned off the fucking heat. Day 1, she's screaming at her mother for forcing her to move into this frozen shithole of an apartment. Day 2, she's screaming at her boyfriend, meth dealer, because he won't let her move in with him. Day 3, she's screaming at the landlord about how she fucking freezing. Day 4, the landlord is at my door. I greet him in full ski mask / parka / stocking cap array, looking like I'm heading out to rob Santa Claus at North Pole. He asks me if I don't find it a little chilly in the house. I reply I find all the cigarette smoke a little warm. Day 5, she's screaming about the bitches upstairs to anyone who will listen. I'm sitting upstairs clutching my car keys and pepper spray with 911 typed into my phone. She finally decides she's fucking leaving and moving in with Greg. Even though he just got out for stabbing Travis, and he lives in that fucking creepy house in the woods with all those asshole biting dogs. Day 6, she's gone. I silently bless Greg. Moral of the story, there's a bloody reason the rent seems too good to be true. P.S. for all those wondering, I did have a friend who worked in plumbing still by to give me some advice about how low I could go before I burst the water pipes to hell and back. What a way to get revenge. But it starts sounding like a horror movie at first, that crazy bitch in the basement. What you gotta do? I really enjoyed that one. Did you guys enjoy that story too? If you did, let me know in the comments below. I do love me some pro revenge. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's stories. If you did, there's a couple more on your screen right now. It would do me a real big favor if you was to watch one of those playlists, go through them, we'll play them in your own time. It will really help this channel out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that other good stuff. And I will see you in the next one. Much love, guys.